Hello everyone. Today we will see about list. So to understand the list, what I will create a runnable class. Well, the best way to understand something is doing practically. So we'll create a runnable class for this. So this is nothing is an example of So it is like basically it's a collection framework. Like it is an example of collection class. We have multiple types of classes in D365 X++ programming language like list, set, maps. So this is a classic example. So you just simply store a type of element in list. Okay, so let's see with an example. So now to define your list, let's say if you want to use list, so you will simply write a keyword named as list. Okay, and then I will create an object of my list. Okay, now to initialize my list, I will simply say new list. Now, important thing here is you need to define the type of your list. So let's say I want to store the string type of object inside my string. So when you put this type here, types, you put this scroll resolution sign. So you see, you can store, like any type, if you're not sure about data type, you can store block, container, class, enum, integer, string, real numbers, even UTC date and time, string, anything. So you could store these type of elements inside your list. So for our simple example, we'll use string data type here. Okay. And now here we have simply defined our list. Now to add anything inside our list, we'll use a function called mylist.add start. So what I will do, I will simply, add something so here what I have done inside my list, now this element will be available. Okay. And now similarly, you also have one more function. When you put mylist dot and you can use this function add end. So what it will do, it will, and let me write end here. So till now, see what has happened. We have defined an object mylist, and now inside this list, okay, we have a start object. Okay, we have added something at start. Okay, now the next element is end. But here we have said, like let's say if you will write here something like this, mylist dot add start. So what will happen now, this to string will be available here. So it will be 2. Okay, sorry, not here, it will be available here. Okay, and then you are seeing here at the end, simply add this string end. So here what will happen, now the end will come here, and this will be in a string. Okay, all these are in a string. So string, 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 string. So this is actually what the code is doing here. Okay, now you know like how to add elements inside your list. Now you should also know how you could iterate through a list. So basically list will store multiple elements. So to iterate through your list, you have two methods, that is list enumerator and list iterator. So let me write here list enumerator and list iterator. Okay, okay, so most of the time you will be using this only, and this is more recommended way, but we'll see both the ways. Now if you want to loop through this list, so you need to define an object here. You will say list enumerator, and here you can define an object, and let's say enumerator. Okay, now inside this list enumerator, you can simply say my list dot, so there's a function called get enumerator. Okay, and now you can simply use your while loop And inside your while loop, instead of directly navigating through list, you will iterate to your for loop using this enumerator. So what you will say, you will simply say enumerator, enumerator, and let me save this. Enumerator. Enumerator dot. So there's a function called. Okay, I have error here. So let me put this braces. Okay, now it should start working. So let me say enumerator dot. So there's a function called move next. Okay, so you can start your loop, you can end your loop here, and here you can simply print. Now to access the element of list, because this enumerator will simply help you to iterate through loop, but to actually access the element, so you can write here info, and you could write enumerator, and here you have a function called current. So this will basically will provide you the elements. So what it will do, so basically here you have stored the enumerator. So inside this enumerator you could use this function move next. Okay, that will start pointing from your list and will go till the end of your list. And by using your current, you can display output. For example, first of all it will say to, start, and like to, then the next it will say start. So this will work in this way. So we have seen how we could iterate through a list using list enumerator. Now the second way to iterate through list is a list iterator. So what we'll do, we'll say here list iterator, and I will create an object here. I will say iterator, and here I will say question new list iterator, and inside this iterator I need to pass my list. So my list is my list. So I'll say here my list. Okay. So now here we have simply, stored the iterator have the required, data to iterate. So now what I will do, I will simply use here my while loop, and I will say iterator dot. So here we were using this move next function, right? So here instead of move next, we'll say move. We'll use the move function. And let me start my loop. So here what I will do, I will display my content. Now to display that, I will say here iterator dot value. There we are using the current function, but here we are going to use value function to fetch our data. Here it was automatically incrementing, but here we need to do it manually. So we'll say here iterator dot next. Alright, and so what I will do, so that we'll get a nice UI, here I will say info, I will say enumerator, so that we differentiate, because we are going to access this list two times. First one it will be enumerator, then would be iterator. So that's why I will say info, and here I will simply say using my iterator. Alright, so this is the basic information about list, but I want to show you a few more things. So here if you see, currently we have 3 elements into our list. Now to get the total elements of your list, there's a function called mylist dot element. So element is a function which will count the total element inside your list, and it will throw you an integer value. Now let's say, even if you want to display this, so what I will say, I will use info statement here, then I will use strfmt, and here I will say total element in list, total elements in my list, and let me do this, put this. So here we need to now close these two braces, so I will put simply two braces here so that I close everything. So this is to get the total elements inside your list, total element inside your list. Alright. Okay, so there's one more function that is also very helpful often. So the function is how you can combine two lists. Okay, so let's say I define one more list here. So to define a list, we'll use the same thing, list, then our list name. Let me say it as list2. I'll define an object. I will say new list, and let me define the type as string. So insert me. Alright, so let me add one element here, or let me add two elements inside my this list too. Now to add element, I can simply say add start, and I would say list to, and put this, and I will say list to dot add start. Let me add one more element, and I will say here list to do something like this. Right, now if you want to combine our list 2 with my list, so we have a function for this. So what I will say here list 2 dot, I have a function called append list. Here I need to pass my list, so I'm going to use this my list. So I will say my list. Yep. So this is how you have simply combined your my list with your list 2. Okay, so now to see the output, what you could do, you could use this list2 dot, let me say, to string. So it will simply display complete list, like the content of this list plus as well as container of this list. And to differentiate our output, I will say info list is combined. Okay, and I will close this. So let me trigger a build here, and we'll see output. So the build is completed, and I've simply run my runnable class by putting this runnable one. So here you see, first of all, we are getting enumerator. Here, first of all, this will get displayed. Then as I said, first of all, start will add. Then you are saying add to add start. Then you are saying add and simply end. So then we will get to start end here. Right through this loop. So to start and end. And then I put an info statement for iterator. So put an info statement for it. Now again we iterate, we'll iterate through the same thing. So we'll again get to start end. So we have again got here to start and end. Again here to count the total number of element into our list. So that is this one. So this one. Okay. And then we have printed list is combined, and then we have combined these two lists. So here if you see list 22, this one, then we are getting to start end. So you see here, first of all, we are adding list 2. Right here, what we are doing here, we are simply saying list 2. Okay. And then we are saying, even before this one, add list 2 to. So this is like list 2 to. Since you have combined this list into this my list, so that's why you're getting list 22 first and list 2, then you're getting the elements from here. So see here. So let us, one more time, just see what we did. We have seen an important concept in D365 F&O programming language, that is your collection class. So there are many types of collection class, like basically set, list, and maps as well. So to define our list, we will simply define a list like this. Here we need to define the data type of our element. So we could use multiple data type here. So, but in our example, we have used string. So these are the options. Even you could use extended data type as well, like the, for example, sales ID, customer account number, even you could use this. Then what we did, to add element, we have two options. Either we could use add start or add end. So what we did, we simply use add start. So that is going to add your element at the beginning of your list. Then again, we added one more element at the beginning of list. So then this will come into second number. And here we said simply add this element at the end. So that's why the list get formed. Now lists have more than one record, right? So that's why they're called collection classes. Now to iterate through your list, you have two ways. Either you could use enumerator or you can use iterator. So the best and preferred way is to use enumerator. So to use the enumerator, you need to use this keyword list enumerator, and here you will simply use a function mylist.getEnumerator and will store this enumerator here. Then to iterate through your loop, you simply need to use a function called moveNext. Okay, that will keep incrementing and that will iterate through your list. And to access your current element, you could use this enumerator.current function. And then similarly we have list iterator. So in list iterator, I need to initialize this one and I need to pass my list here. And to move to a next element, you need to use this more. And here to get the value, here we were using current, but here we have used the value function. And this iterator.next will increment this loop. Okay. And this mylist.element function is going to count the total number of element available in list and will throw an integer to us. And to add or to combine multiple lists, you could use this function .append list. You need to remember that here we are using list2.append list. So that's why first of all list2 element will come, then my list element will come, and they will sit. And this toString function is useful because it shows you it gives you this kind of look. Okay, so thank you for watching this video.